Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm David Knight. It's Thursday, August 28th, 2014, and here are our top stories.
Tonight, conflicting reports build tensions in Russia. Then, what do charities do with all that donated money? And a judge orders a federal investigation on the Oklahoma City bombing. That's next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
We are on the verge of the new renaissance. We are on the verge of so much good.
Well, it was our sixth president, John Quincy Adams, who famously said, "America does not go abroad in search of monsters to destroy. She is the well-wisher to freedom and independence for all. She is the champion and vindicator only of her own." Things have changed, haven't they? Now we have a government that is looking for monsters everywhere. Monsters real, monsters imaginary, monsters foreign, monsters domestic. When the only thing they serve is a military complex, everything looks like a war to them and everyone looks like an enemy. And so today we have the Ukraine is now in the news. It's going back and forth between Syria and the Ukraine. Today we have reports that there are Russian troops that have moved across, but these reports are coming from the Ukrainian government itself. The New York Times reports that Ukraine asserts Russian invasion and reinstitutes the draft. Now, they changed the wording from earlier in the day. They just said that the Russian president had declared that there had been Russian troops that had crossed into Ukraine. Now they're moving it back just slightly to say it's an assertion. Now, the Ukrainian president had said that there were 4,000 Russians, yet NATO is saying it's only about 1,000. They say they've released pictures. Of course, we haven't seen those pictures. And there's a quote from a Russian leader saying that there are some soldiers from Russia who, instead of their vacation, came across to fight. A very different scenario. Now, CNN reports that some commercial satellite imagery shows that there are 15 heavy trucks, 7 armored vehicles, and 9 artillery positions. It doesn't sound all that much different than a SWAT team deployment in the United States with a riot like in Ferguson. But RT is pointing out that they don't believe that this is happening. They're pushing back. It looks very much like what we've seen before, as Kurt Nemo points out, is the Russian invasion of Ukraine a hoax. He points out that back in 2010, the Georgian government said that they had been invaded by the Russian government. That was later exposed as not being true. And The Guardian put it this way. They said, not since Orson Welles persuaded Americans that Martians had landed had a whole nation been so duped. Well, we're being duped by something else. It's not just the Russians abroad that we need to be concerned about. It's what Paul Craig Roberts calls the Leninist in the White House. He says, according to Lenin, the Soviet government rested directly on force, not limited by anything, not restricted by any laws, nor any absolute rules. This is becoming the way that Obama is governing, of course, as Rand Paul is essentially pointing out the same thing. He says, Obama is not a king. In another article on InfoWars.com, he says, not only is it an abuse of power, but I think it almost leads us to a constitutional crisis of sorts, the way that he is ruling by dictates. He points out, with cap and trade, we rejected it. The House rejected cap and trade. So now he's going around democracy. He's doing an end around the Congress, and you can't imagine that the American public would let him do this, or that we would let him do it, frankly. In other words, talking about the Congress. Of course, what he's talking about is the announcement that came out yesterday that Obama is pursuing a climate accord in lieu of a treaty. That's the headlines from the New York Times. He has pointed out that he's essentially going to shut down the coal industry with a treaty with the UN, with an agreement with the UN, rather than having a constitutional treaty that is ratified by Congress. And as Rand Paul points out, I can't believe that the Congress is letting him get away with it, or the American people. But that is the state of corruption in America. And look at this other evidence of corruption. We have an ex-CIA official who is proposing that Putin be assassinated. That's the way we solve our foreign policy problems. In a recent op-ed, Herbert E. Meyer, who served as a special assistant to the director of the Central Intelligence under the Reagan administration, said the goal of U.S. sanctions against Russia, quote, should be to get the Russians who've been keeping Putin in power or tolerating him to throw the knockout punch. If he's too stubborn to acknowledge that his career is over, the only way to get rid of Putin is feet first with a bullet hole in the back of his head. That would be okay with us. Yeah, very different from what Paul Craig Roberts, who was also in the Reagan administration, said. But that's the tenor of the government that we see now, a government that no longer respects the rule of law, that no longer respects the legislative powers of Congress, but essentially rules as dictators. It isn't going to be long before they start assassinating people. And of course, they have targeted leaders of peaceful demonstrations for assassinations, as we have shown. It's not just the foreign heads of state. They will kill anyone and everyone. Now, in other news, on WND today, they have an article. A judge tells the FBI, go probe yourself on the Oklahoma City bombing. This is a federal judge who has ordered the FBI to investigate allegations that the agency intimidated a witness into not testifying at a recent Freedom of Information trial related to the Oklahoma City bombing. Now, this is the second time this judge has instructed the FBI to investigate itself over allegations of witness tampering. What happened in this particular case is a former FBI agent, John Matthews, reportedly met with Timothy McVeigh, and in trying to get this testimony out, the government reportedly told him, and he's suffering from cancer, he's terminally ill with that, he was told to take a vacation and told that he should suffer from a case of, quote, the I don't remembers. Now, the person who is bringing this lawsuit, Mr. Trinitu, said that Matthews is threatened by the FBI with a loss of disability, and remember, he's a terminally ill cancer patient, and other veteran benefits if he took the stand and testified honestly. Now, the interesting thing, of course, is that the FBI came back and said, this is just another conspiracy theory. This has been the way that the FBI and the CIA has essentially put down any questioning of any official stories. They want you to believe that Timothy McVeigh acted alone. But as I point out in this article, Trinitu sued the FBI for alleged violations of the U.S. Freedom of Information Act, claiming that the agency had videotapes that it failed to turn over, showing McVeigh had another man in the Ryder truck that pulled up to the building that was bombed April 19, 1995. This John Doe number 2 was spotted by more than 20 witnesses as being with McVeigh in the days leading up to the bombing, and at least a half a dozen witnesses claimed to have seen the two together on April 19th before the bomb was detonated. Of course, the government doesn't want us to believe that more than one person ever committed any crime, because then, of course, that would truly be a conspiracy. And they want to save that word to discredit anybody who investigates the stories that they're giving us. Well, stay tuned. Right after the break, we have a special report from Joe Biggs on the NSA's special database search. It's actually their own personal Google engine, the IC Reach. And after that, we have some breaking news on the CDC's whistleblower who exposes the connection between autism and vaccines. Stay with us.
The facts are in. The studies are legion. Sodium fluoride and other toxic members of the fluoride family are devastating the health and cognitive ability of the American people. So why are the social engineers adding it to the water? Simple. Dumb down the host population that the parasitic technocracy is feeding on. We may not have been able to get fluoride out of the water supply yet, but we can help to get it out of our bodies. I am extremely excited to announce the exclusive INFOWARS Life Fluoride Shield formulation, fusing 6 of the best documented ingredients from around the world to help the body remove not just toxic fluoride residues from the body, but a whole host of toxic substances. Let's take a stand against the globalists by blocking their poisons with Fluoride Shield. I use Fluoride Shield every day. Secure your Fluoride Shield and other pioneering formulations at InfoWarsLife.com today. Let's start cleansing our bodies now and support the info war at the same time. That's InfoWarsLife.com. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox Special at InfoWarsLife.com.
I'm Joe Biggs with InfoWars.com, bringing you some information that I found to be pretty interesting. You know, the tyranny's gotten so bad that our government alphabet agencies don't even try to hide it anymore. The people have been dumbed down so much that our government can blatantly just go out there and say that they're storing massive amounts of data on us. But before I get to that, by DARPA, we have new revelations out by Edward Snowden that came out in an article of Wired magazine. Now, it's really interesting what he's talking about. He says that the government is using this program called IC Reach, and it is a Google-like website. And the funny thing is about it, is it looks directly like Google. It's the same setup. And the funny part is Google was founded with help from the CIA. So this isn't an accident at all. You know, it goes on to say the NSA builds its own Google, spy agency secretly providing data to dozens of government agencies with search engine that shares 850 billion phone and email records. Now let me put 850 billion in perspective for you. This article that I have actually has a chart and breaks it down. People on Earth, 7 billion. Second since the birth of Christ, 64 billion. Google searches per month, 100 billion. Hamburgers sold by McDonald's, 300 billion. Stars in the Milky Way, estimated 400 billion. Records available via IC Reach, over 850 billion records. Now, DARPA is not trying to hide this at all. Snowden helped bring this out, but DARPA is just saying, hey, it's out here, take a look. I don't really care. Most people aren't going to go to our website anyways. People are too dumb and they plan on it being that way. DARPA seeks to develop tools to help identify misinformation or deception campaigns and counter them with truthful information, what they consider truthful, reducing adversaries' ability to manipulate events. Now, they call this program the Social Media and Strategic Communication System. What this does, it will focus research on linguistic cues, patterns of information flow, and detection of sentiment or opinion and information generated and spread through social media. Now, the researchers will also attempt to track ideas and concepts to analyze patterns and cultural narratives. The researchers will create a closed and controlled environment where large amounts of data are collected. This is right here on DARPA's website. You can go to it. They're not trying to hide it. You don't need an Edward Snowden to reveal this because they know the American people aren't going to go out and read this stuff, and they can just blatantly say whatever they want. They can throw it in our faces and say, hey, I'm stealing your information. Hey, I'm snooping on your Twitter. Hey, I'm watching your Facebook. Hey, everyone else has your information. Anything you post isn't safe. And now they're saying that 46% of Americans are scared to post anything on Twitter or Facebook about the NSA because now they know from the Snowden documents being brought forward that the NSA is watching everything they're doing. Now Americans are saying, whoa, I better watch what I'm doing. I better not post anything about the NSA. I don't want them snooping on me and spying and sending drones over my house. It's ridiculous. Talk about it. Who cares? They need to know what they're doing is wrong. The stuff's got to stop. I'm Joe Biggs with INFOWARS.com.
Alex Jones here to tell you about how you can help spread liberty worldwide while also enjoying what I have found to be the best tasting 100% organic coffee on the planet. For more than a decade, my favorite coffee has come from the high mountains of southern Mexico, where the Chiapas farmers grow their unique shade-grown Arabica beans. We have now managed to secure these sought-after beans in a highly customized blend. Discover and try a bag of the Patriot Blend 100% organic coffee at InfoWarsLife.com. This coffee gives you a long, smooth pick-me-up for hours without the headaches and heartburn that so many other coffees give me personally. Hands down, this is my favorite coffee, and it's taken us years to secure connections directly to the Chiapas Mexican farmers. Drop by the site today, order a bag or two, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Available in original or with our immune support infusion blend. You will be supporting a free press, all the while enjoying a truly great-tasting cup of my favorite coffee. Available at InfoWarsLife.com.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does. Ugh.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered with a ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing. Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking.